All right, let's dive into one of the biggest, most compelling mysteries of our time. Just who is Satoshi Nakamoto? I mean, the entire world has been searching for the creator of Bitcoin for years. But what if we've been looking for the wrong kind of proof this whole time? Seriously, how do you unmask a ghost? The search for Satoshi isn't just about finding some person. It's about cracking the ultimate technological puzzle. We're hunting for a ghost in the machine, a creator who built this revolutionary system and then, poof, just vanished. So, where do we even begin?
Well, most people think the answer is simple, right? Just have Satoshi sign a message with an early private key. But honestly, in a world of super sophisticated cybersecurity, that's just not going to cut it. A private key is just data. It can be stolen off an old hard drive, it can be copied, it can even be handed over under duress. Possessing a key only proves you have the key, it doesn't prove you're the one who created it. We need a much higher standard of proof.
And this brings us to this really fascinating idea called identity fixation. The theory is that the real proof of Satoshi's identity isn't in something he can possess, like a key, but in the indelible intellectual fingerprint he left all over the foundations of his creation. True authorship? Well, that can't be stolen.
So, this transforms our search into something way more epic. Think of it like the contest in Ready Player One. We're not just looking for a simple password, we are on a quest to find 3 primordial keys. These are 3 foundational artifacts that only the true creator, the James Halliday of this whole story, could possibly master. So, here's our quest log. First, we'll figure out what these keys actually are. Then, we'll go hunt for each one, the white paper, the source code, and the Genesis block. And finally, we'll see what it really takes to win the creator's game. Okay, so before we hunt for the keys themselves, let's really understand the challenge. We're looking for Satoshi's ultimate Easter egg, a brand new standard of proof that goes way beyond a simple cryptographic signature. This is a true test of authorship.
And here they are, the 3 primordial keys. As you can see, each one is a very specific foundational artifact. The original white paper PDF, the first ever source code, and of course, the Genesis block. And each has a unique SHA-256 hash. That long string of characters acts as a perfect, unforgeable digital fingerprint. To prove they're Satoshi, a claimant has to show they can recreate the original artifacts that produce these exact hashes. Let's start our hunt with the very first key, the blueprint for a financial revolution, the document that literally started it all.
For so many in the crypto world, this is the sacred text. It's just 9 pages that so elegantly laid out the entire system. But this document is so much more than words. It's a digital artifact with a very specific, verifiable structure. You know, this whole theory was actually put to the test in a major way during the Copa versus Wright trial. Craig Wright, a man who has claimed for years to be Satoshi, made this exact argument, that he could prove his identity by recreating the white paper from his original files. And this is where the claim just completely collided with reality. You see, Wright insisted he used this complex scientific program called LaTeX. But forensic analysis of the original PDF's metadata showed it was actually created with OpenOffice, a common word processor. The digital fingerprint left inside the file directly contradicted his entire story. So here's the crucial test, you see. Mastering the first key doesn't mean you can just recite the white paper. It means having the original source files that produce a PDF with the exact same SHA-256 hash as Satoshi's. The documents Wright produced in court, they were proven to be forgeries precisely because they failed this fundamental test. All right, with the first key down, let's move on to the second, the actual code that brought Bitcoin to life. This is where we get a real look inside the creator's mind, their philosophy, and their vision for the future. This code, which was released a couple of months after the white paper, is the intellectual DNA of Bitcoin. It's where the theory became a functioning reality. And just like real DNA, it's filled with unique traits and even some dormant features. Digging into this original code reveals some absolutely fascinating details. You find these early, almost incomplete functions for smart contracts. The proof-of-work mechanism was actually an improvement on what the white paper described. It had security concepts similar to an IT tool called Tripwire, and even used code from another legendary cypherpunk, Wei Dai. And this illustrates the test for the second key perfectly. Look, anyone can read the code today, but only the true author could explain the why. Why include unfinished smart contract code? Why did you deviate from the white paper's proof of work? The real Satoshi has to be able to articulate the philosophy and the long-term vision that was embedded in that very first version.
Okay, now for our third and final key, and this is probably the most famous artifact in all of crypto, the very first block ever created.
The Genesis block. I mean, it's the Big Bang of the Bitcoin universe. Mined on January 3rd, 2009. It's the anchor for the entire blockchain. But it's not just a block of data. It's a time capsule. And it contains a very, very specific message.
This famous headline from the UK newspaper, The Times, is embedded forever in the blockchain, and it does three things at once. It's an irrefutable timestamp, proving the block couldn't have been created before that date. It's a powerful political statement about the failures of the traditional banking system, and it's a tantalizing clue that maybe, just maybe, Satoshi was based in the UK.
But the Genesis block holds one more secret. As you can see from this timeline, there's this mysterious 6-day gap between block 0 and block 1. Why the delay? Was Satoshi running final tests on a private network? Or maybe just taking a break? Only the real Satoshi could tell us for sure what happened during that very first week.
The reward for mining that very first block was 50 Bitcoin.
But here is the final, absolutely brilliant mark of authorship. Because of a strange quirk in the original code, those first 50 BTC are permanently unspendable. Think about that. Satoshi created a treasure that he himself designed to be untouchable. A powerful move that just removes any personal profit motive and reinforces that Bitcoin was a gift to the world.
So putting it all together, winning the creator's game isn't about some single magic bullet. It's about demonstrating complete and total mastery over the entire act of creation.
This is the ultimate challenge. The true Satoshi isn't someone who just happens to possess a key. It's the person who can step forward and pass these three critical tests. Recreate the white paper, hash perfect. Explain the deep architectural and philosophical choices in the original code. And finally, solve the last mysteries of the Genesis block.
And this brings us to a final, pretty provocative thought. Satoshi designed Bitcoin so that his identity wouldn't matter. The system stands on its own. So if that's true, why aren't we so obsessed with this hunt? What is the true value we hope to find by unmasking the ghosts in the machine? That is something to ponder.